And you are a guardian angel and designer. What you talking about, man? You are from the Bronx, bro. You are not from Harlem. Why do you keep thinking that you are from Harlem, bro? You are not from Harlem. I did not grow up with you, man. I did not grow up with you. Contrary to what you believe, never needed nowhere to stay. You act like that couch. You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan.
Mase taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, boy, once you figure out how to rap, the same way you act in these streets, it's gonna work for you. Just keep going. And that's all so I always gotta give credit to where credit is due. There would be no Jim Jones if it wasn't for them guys.
You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in. You was so cool. And we was like, yo, Jomo's a nice guy. Mace like, yo, I think I'll teach him how to rap. Mace actually taught you how to rap, literally. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
What if everything you thought you knew about Jim Jones was a lie? What if the man claiming he built Mase and Cam'ron's careers was actually just a fan who begged his way in? What if the truth Jim tries to hide is that he owes everything to them? Remember when Dipset was untouchable? When diplomatic immunity had the whole culture on lock? What if I told you that Empire was built on a lie, and the man claiming credit was just a groupie with good timing? Now, as the real story unfolds, Jim's desperate attempts to stay relevant are exposed. How long can you fake it before the people who made you decide to unmake you? Get ready to see one of hip-hop's biggest lies destroyed. For decades, hip-hop has been built on one sacred principle: respect is earned, not given. In the streets, you don't get to claim blocks you didn't grow up on. You don't get to rewrite your origin story when it's convenient. And you don't get to steal credit from the people who actually built the empire. But Jim Jones has been violating every street code for 20 years, and now the architects of his success are ready to demolish the lies he's built his career on.
What's the chances of you, Cam, and Mase getting back?
I don't think it's really gonna happen. We two different type of people, and always have. Competitive nature always been first before friendship. Remember, Cam, my man, it's not.
So it's not you.
I took the position of my position. Cam is my partner. I'm not his artist. I was the CEO of Diplomats. I made Diplomats with him. I was with him for every bit of his journey. I held him down. I took that position of holding him down. I'm not his soldier, you heard? I'm his partner. But in the journey that we had to take, I had to do what was needed. Why I play my position. And that's why I'm able to be here and have a conversation with you, because I did what I was supposed to do.
Listen to the audacity. Jim Jones just claimed he was the CEO of the Diplomats, that he held down Mase and Cam'ron. This isn't just revisionist history. This is identity theft on a massive scale. In Harlem, claiming you built something you didn't touch is more than lying. It's territorial disrespect that gets people hurt in real life. Notice how confidently he delivers these lies? That's what happens when someone's been telling the same story so long they start believing their own mythology. But here's the problem with building your legacy on borrowed credibility. Eventually, the real owners come to collect.
I never needed nowhere to stay. You act like your couch. You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan.
Boom! The temperature just dropped to absolute zero. Camron didn't just disagree. He obliterated Jim's entire narrative with surgical precision. You were our fan, ninja. 4 words that just destroyed 20 years of carefully constructed lies. This isn't about hurt feelings or wounded egos. This is about the fundamental difference between builders and leeches, between artists who created something from nothing and opportunists who attach themselves to existing success. Camron just reminded everyone exactly which category Jim Jones belongs in. And it ain't the one he's been claiming.
You're not from none of that. So you gonna sit around and act like you've been around all this Harlem shit. You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you gotta keep saying, I'm from Harlem? Harlem know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep saying you from Harlem.
Here's where Cam exposes the psychology behind Jim's desperation. People who haven't built anything substantial develop an insatiable hunger for validation. They don't attach themselves to successful people out of loyalty. They do it because they're terrified of being exposed as empty. Jim's entire public persona has been built on borrowed street credibility. When that foundation starts cracking, the only response is to double down on the lies and pray nobody calls your bluff. Well, guess what? The bill just came due.
You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you was so cool. And we was like, yo, Jomo's a nice guy. Mase like, yo, I think I'll teach him how to rap. Mase actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
And there it is, the moment that destroys everything. Jim Jones didn't co-found the Diplomats. He didn't discover Camron and Mase. He didn't build an empire. He heard their mixtapes taking off and literally begged his way into their circle like a groupie with good timing. This revelation recontextualizes Jim's entire career. Every song, every collaboration, every moment of success can now be traced back to this single act of desperation. A fan who convinced two rising stars to let him ride their wave to relevance. But here's what makes this particularly devastating for anyone who understands street politics. Begging is the ultimate violation of masculine code. Real players don't beg, they build. Real bosses don't attach, they create. Jim just got exposed as neither. The question isn't whether Jim Jones deserves credit for Dipset's success. The question is, how long can you build a career on someone else's foundation before the architects decide to demolish your fake empire? In the streets, respect is currency. And Jim Jones just went bankrupt when the people who made you decide to unmake you. There's no coming back from that level of character assassination. But here's what makes this exposure even more devastating. Jim's been telling these lies for so long that we actually have receipts of him contradicting himself. His own words from years ago are about to destroy everything he's claiming today. You know what separates real street legends from fake ones? Consistency. Real players keep the same story because they lived it. Fake players change their narrative depending on who's listening. And eventually, those contradictions come back to haunt them. Jim Jones has been rewriting his origin story for 20 years, but the internet is forever. And when your own words from the past destroy your current lies, that's not just embarrassing, that's career elimination.
Say it. Matter of fact, bring up the clip.
Mase helped me actually learn how to rap.
Mase taught me how to rap. Mase actually showed me, he was the first person to show me how to rap.
Mase actually sat me down and showed me the magic to rap.
We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization. How you made Diplomat. You ain't make none of this stuff. You was a fan. I put you down because you had a free crib and you was a nice guy. That's how you got down originally. Period.
Listen to Camron setting up the ill shot. He's not just making accusations, he's about to present evidence. In the streets, when someone says they got receipts, you better believe they're about to pull them out. And what Cam's about to show you will completely obliterate any credibility Jim thought he had left. Notice how confident Cam sounds? That's because he knows what's coming next. When you have someone's own confession on tape, you don't need to argue. You just need to press play.
Mase taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, boy, once you figure out how to rap, the same way you act in these streets, it's gonna work for you. Just keep going. And that's all so I always gotta give credit to where credit is due. There would be no Jim Jones if it wasn't for them guys.
Let that sink in. The man who's been running around claiming he was the CEO, the muscle, the one who held everybody down, just admitted on camera that Mase taught him how to rap, not the other way around. Jim didn't make Mase, Mase made Jim. This isn't just a contradiction, this is a complete confession. Jim's own mouth just validated every single thing Cam and Mase have been saying. When your enemy doesn't even need to destroy you because you destroy yourself, that's the ultimate form of street justice.
Freestyles come out. Yo, I heard the new did. I heard the new did. Yo, you wanna come through? Come through. Why? Why are we going to Jomo's house? Cool. One day, I'm leaving Mase's house on the west side, going back to the east side. I stop at Jomo's house. His grandmother died, God bless her dad. And he had a free crib. So yeah, I would bring some the out. A little crack maybe. I'd be at everybody's house though. I love my grandparents. My grandparents were strict. I stayed at Duke the God house. I stayed at Mase with Kuda. I stayed at her. I stayed a bunch of. I never needed nowhere to stay.
Jim's been lying about everything, not just his role in Dipset. He's been rewriting basic facts about their friendship, claiming Cam was staying at his place like some broke artist when the reality was completely different. This is what pathological liars do when they get successful. They retroactively change every story to make themselves the hero, the provider, the one in control. But when you're dealing with people who actually live through those moments, your lies become weapons they can use against you. The beautiful thing about this exposure is that Jim can't even defend himself. How do you argue against your own recorded confession? How do you claim you built someone when you literally admitted they taught you everything you know? But here's where it gets even more interesting. While Jim's been busy destroying his own credibility with contradictions, the people who actually witnessed Dipset's rise have been watching this whole circus unfold. And they're about to reveal something that changes everything we thought we knew about the real power dynamics behind the scenes. Because when the smoke clears and the lies stop working, the truth always comes from the people who were actually there.
When I met Cam and Jim, they were super close. So I honestly don't really know Jim being from the Bronx and all that. You know what I'm saying? When I met them, they was in 5H, which is, you know what I'm saying, Jim's apartment, and that's, you know, like, I guess that time was after all the stuff Cam had said already with the Children of the Corn and Jim, you know, whatever he said, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when I got there, Cam and Jim was like this, super tight. Mase wasn't even in the picture. I don't know Mase like that, you know what I'm saying? Every time I seen Mase, it's been a mutual, you know what I'm saying, respect there. So, you know, that's what that's been as far as me and Mase, you know what I'm saying? As far as, yeah, when I met Cam and Jim, they were already Trump tight and locked in. You understand what I'm saying? The Diplomats was already a name they had. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and claim I made the dip, so that's not something I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I made Dipset though, the two. Yeah, I did that.
When Santana says things were cool between everyone, he's establishing the baseline before everything went wrong. Notice how measured his tone is? That's because real players don't need to exaggerate or embellish. They just state facts and let the truth speak for itself.
And I know because I seen it, I was there. I was at Jim album release party, and everybody was over there with Jim, and Cam is standing over here with like 3 or 4 people just looking on and couldn't believe that Jim is the guy. And that always stood with me.
Now here's where the plot thickens. Choke No Joke just confirmed something that complicates the entire narrative. People did work under Jim. He did have legitimate authority within the structure. So this isn't just about a complete fraud. This is about someone who had some power, but couldn't handle the limitations of that power. Jim wasn't completely powerless, but he also wasn't the CEO he's been claiming to be. He was middle management, trying to rewrite himself as the founder.
There's no Dipset without Jim. Jim is the gangbanger of the crew. Cam is not a blood. I don't even know if Joel's was. I doubt Freaky was, right? But the set, it comes from the gang, right? All the gang all ran under Jim.
Right.
All of the muscle was Jim. That wasn't Cam. You know what I'm saying?
Cam was like the Jay-Z.
Cam was the artist.
The Jay-Z, the mascot of it, if this is Rockefeller.
Right.
And then Jim was Kareem? Biggs?
No, because Jim did more than what Biggs did. I wouldn't use the Rockefeller scenario. That's not a good thing. Jim and Cam were partners, so to speak, but Jim took the role of being the underboss, the muscle, to make sure that Cam could function and move around and not have a bad reputation or be getting robbed and all this other stuff. So Jim put he stood front line for anything in regards to Cam, and then he put Dipset in front of Cam.
And here's the statement that's going to divide the comments. Choke No Joke just said there was no Dipset without Jim, and that he was the muscle behind everything. Now, before Jim's supporters start celebrating, understand what this really means. Being the muscle doesn't make you the brains. Being essential to operations doesn't make you the creator. Jim had a crucial role, but that role was protection and enforcement, not artistic vision and leadership. There's a massive difference between being indispensable and being in charge. What you're witnessing is the formation of two camps based on proximity to truth. Santana and Choke No Joke aren't defending Jim because they're blind to his flaws. They're supporting him because they witnessed his actual contributions that Cam and Mase are now minimizing. But here's the psychological warfare at play. Both sides are telling partial truths. Cam and Mase are downplaying Jim's legitimate contributions to make their point about his inflated claims. Jim's supporters are emphasizing his real value to counter the just a fan narrative. The truth, as always, lies somewhere in the middle. But in street politics, perception becomes reality. And right now, Jim's losing the perception war badly. You know what's fascinating about street politics? Power dynamics. When everyone's struggling together, loyalty runs deep. But the moment one person starts outshining the others, that's when the real character gets exposed. And what's about to be revealed will show you exactly who the real jealous one is in this situation.
Wedge that became between Cam and Jim is Jim's success. When Jim started becoming successful as an artist, the animosity started building up in Cam.
It wasn't supposed to go like that according to Cam's story.
No, Cam always looked at him as being the star, Jim being capo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's kind of like Sammy the Bull becoming John Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Gotti's probably gonna feel a little way if Sammy becomes the main man. You know what I'm saying? And in that situation, that's what it is. Jim started to grow as an artist. And as he started to grow as an artist, he started moving from standing behind Cam to he started standing next to Cam. And then it got to a point where he stood in front of Cam. Mm-hmm. And Cam was looking him over his shoulder like, what you doing? And then that built the animosity. And by the time Ballin' hit, Cam had a gang of animosity and internal hatred. And I know because I seen it, I was there. I was at Jim album release party.
Choke No Joke just flipped the entire script, claiming it was Cam who couldn't handle Jim's success. But before you take his word as gospel, understand what's really happening here. Choke No Joke has his own personal beef with Camron that goes back years. This man literally almost came to blows with Cam just for praising Jim Jones' mixtape. When someone's that pressed about you giving props to their former partner, that tells you everything about their objectivity. Choke's not just defending Jim out of loyalty, he's doing it out of spite.
Not in a disrespectful way, but he was under the wing. Jim was the muscle. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And Jewels was under that wing too, of the muscle. You get what I mean? So with Jim, he's Cam's partner.
Copy.
But he's taking a step back to play the muscle.
Right.
Jewels was a worker.
Right.
A hiree, a little man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between Jewels and Jim. You know what I'm saying? If it was beef, Jewel ain't gonna be front line. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to get through Jim, then Dipset to get to Cam, and then probably to get to Jewels.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Jewels ain't standing in front of Jim, and Jewels ain't standing in front of Cam.
And here's Choke painting Jim as the protector, the muscle, who kept Cam safe. But notice the timing of all these interviews. Jim Jones just dropped his new album, At the Church Steps, in February 2025. Suddenly everyone's talking about old Dipset drama again. Coincidence? When your career needs a boost, nothing works better than stirring up old beef for clout. And Choke No Joke is the perfect ally for someone trying to rewrite history, especially when he's got his own axe to grind with Camron.
At the end of the day, Jim just was smart enough to do it quicker. You know, they say time heals all wounds, so people usually let years and years and years go by. Jim, you know what I mean? He saw his moment. He saw his moment, and he saw that 50 had a platform at the time that was, you know, bigger than ours. It was bigger than ours. So to perform a song which was the biggest song out right now in front of a crowd that we are not normally in front of. You understand what I'm saying? I don't think it was the worst thing. Like Jim knew that it wasn't no bloodshed, you know what I'm saying? And Jim was smart enough to know, I think, all right, this shit is not even that serious. Like like at the time I knew people in Queens, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like the Cam, and you see, look at him and Cam right now, they're on the platform. So obviously the beef wasn't that serious. You understand what I'm saying? They just waited longer to settle their differences. Why is it cool to see Cam and 50 now, but it wasn't cool to see Jim and 50 then? You understand what I'm saying? That Jim and Cam is beefing now, right? So y'all say, okay, so why is 50 on? You understand what I'm saying? It's the same thing, bro. It's the same thing. It's just people like to pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? People got their favorites even in the groups, man. It's always been like that. So now when the group clash, it's like, you know, people want to take, I think the bull. If y'all really want to see move as a unit, don't be taking this. Even if you like Cam more than you like Jim, you like Jim more than you like Cam. You know what I'm saying? It's Dipset. You know what I'm saying? So you know when you see them going at it, you know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, you know, that the egg on like that, like I'm definitely not gonna be the one to egg it on.
Santana breaks down the 50 Cent situation, but here's what's really telling. Jim was so desperate for individual recognition that he violated the most basic street code, loyalty during wartime. When your crew is beefing and you take the stage with the enemy, that's not business. That's betrayal driven by jealousy and ambition. Jim couldn't handle being in Cam's shadow anymore, so he made a move that destroyed their brotherhood forever. That's not the behavior of someone who was secure in their position. That's the behavior of someone consumed by jealousy. Jim's not the loyal soldier who got betrayed. He's the jealous hype man who couldn't accept his position and destroyed everything, trying to become the star. And now, 20 years later, he's still so pressed about it that he's recruiting anyone with a grudge to help rewrite his story.
People, it don't even be the actual people. Like if me and you was beefing, and you said, I don't know, Zeke got a peanut head paws, and I said you got 11 toes, or whatever the case may be. That'd be that. But it be everybody else on the side, your group of niggas, be like, yeah, man, you know, the peanut, he's a peanut gallery. They gonna make up all this make sure to turn the peanuts into peanut butter, then whip it into something else to make it all a whole bunch of different Then my talk about your feet and all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, just to, like, that's everybody who's from Harlem got some family in the Bronx. Everybody who got some family in the Bronx got family in Harlem. Yeah, Jim is from the Bronx and he came to Harlem. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, you gotta understand the war. Like, Jim it's like battling. It's like rap. Like Jim, whatever, but they wasn't. They was on platforms. And Jim said what he said. Jim, I think what he said, something about inviting him to his, so he said, he said, they on my dick, right? That's something that's serious. Like, you hear that, you like, ooh, it's like Jim caught a ball. Oh, so what you think Cam gonna do? You think he's just gonna sit there and you think he gonna, and Jim rhymed first. You know what I mean? Well, actually Cam and 50 said what they was talking about what they said. Jim heard that, he came back and said that. Now Cam, what you think Cam gonna do? Cam is a lyricist. He's gonna make you feel any type of stupidity way that's possible. He's gonna say shit that basically kick you in your nuts. You know what I mean? He's gonna rip your heart out. Remember the old school when they was doing electric boogie and they grabbed the nigga by the heart, pulled the heart, and they just had it in their head.
Even Freak Zeki, who's trying to stay diplomatic, admits this beef wasn't originally that serious. But when outside agitators start adding fuel to the fire, that's when things spiral out of control. And who benefits from keeping old wounds open? The person whose current relevance depends on past drama. You know what happens when someone's been exposed as a fraud and they have no legitimate defense? They resort to the lowest tactics possible. Threats, intimidation, and personal attacks become their only weapons. And Jim Jones is about to demonstrate exactly how far a desperate man will fall when his lies stop working.
Wake up with every hands on you. But I see the pattern now. If a to disagree with you and don't want to take it that route because they got some genuine love for you, you keep going on and on and on. Every that put hands on you or you get to altercation, you cool with them. I see you with C Gutter. Junior Mafia, cool. I see you taking pictures with True Life. It's cool. Man, DC, y'all having sit-downs to work out. Gunshots was let off with that. Y'all having sit-downs to work it out. You tried to chase French Montana out the game, that ain't work out. Y'all got cool. So cool that you go to his video shoot, pardon me, not his video, movie. You're sitting in the crowd watching the premiere, and they dissing you in the movie. You in the movie getting dissed, and you gotta eat it, just sitting in the crowd. Nah, dissing you in the movie that you went to go see, bro. You ever wonder how you met Mano? Ask him how he met Mano. Mano gonna downplay because they cool now. He tried to press Mano one day because Mano first came out. He had a little record where he was saying, dissing the rappers. I don't know, he's dissing his name. So Jim Plus see Mano one day and was like, yo, what's up with all that saying my name? Mano said, who the talking to? Oh, you think I'm one of them niggas? You out your mother mind? Now they the lobby boys. Every that do something to put pressure on you, you sit there and work it out. But when niggas got a little genuine heart for you and all that, cool, that's the pattern. If they don't put hands on you, then you can keep going on and on and on. And I ain't promoting none of this. I think it's cool that you cool with everybody I name. You gonna be 50 next year. I'm happy that you cool. I'm not saying this to stir up no feathers. I'm not saying that to backtrack on any beef or go anything like, I think it's really cool. But the you do this, you keep, you cool with, and then the and sophisticatedly, you keep going on and on, bro.
Listen to Cam'ron systematically destroy Jim's street credibility. This isn't just about their personal beef anymore. This is about exposing a pattern of behavior that reveals Jim's true character. According to Cam, Jim has no standards, no self-respect, and no loyalty to anyone except his own desperate need for attention.
What I'll finish with is this, man. I'm never here to downplay your character. As much as you try to degrade my character for years and push me under the bus and say, I ain't start this and I ain't do that, and you started Pink and you made the Diplomats, which is just, if people choose to believe that, then look, I got a Brooklyn, a bridge in Brooklyn I could sell you to, my period. But at the end of the day, I never try to downplay your character. And I didn't know all this on because I was on vacation. I came back a few days ago and seen all this going on. And it's like, for instance, right? I see you post and let me get jumped in Rucker, this, that, and third by 8 and third. I let that story however they want to tell it. I seen the story one time when Little C's was telling the story. I mean, me and Little C's is cool. And Little C's told me he punched me in my face. Really? And me and C, I seen C's, really? No, not dissing C's, but no. Little C's never punched me. But if you go to his end in that story, that's what he said he did. And like I said, I ain't got no problem. I seen C's, we good. But you keep running around with these 25-year-old stories. Do you ever hear me talk about when you ran on me when BMF pulled up? When you ran in the hotel, they chased you to the beach. And lucky, I had my and my man Jojo, I ain't gonna say his name, Spanish the Spanish about life, who was with me, is like, who are these? I said, oh, they come this way. No, and this no disrespect, because Blue's all that. And Blue Da Vinci just told this story on his platform or whatever platform recently. He got it 89% right. It's a little off, Blue. I'll tell it on Talk with Flea, my perspective of what happened. But at the end of the day, I don't be out there pumping. They chase you to the beach in the sand. You was getting wet from the water, from the ocean. I don't pump that.
This is devastating because it destroys Jim's entire masculine muscle man persona. All that tough talk, all those claims about being the enforcer, all that street credibility he's been building his identity on, just got obliterated with one story. And Cam says he has witnesses, to prove it.
You know why? Because the revolution was televised. I'm here. That's why God worked like that. That's why I'm here. The revolution was televised. What you talking about? And I'll wrap it up real quick with this, because I'll be here for an hour. We got to stop tricking freedom, bro.
Cam'ron isn't even angry anymore. He's bored. When someone stops seeing you as a threat and starts seeing you as an annoyance, that's the ultimate form of disrespect. Cam's basically saying Jim isn't worth his time or energy because he's moved on to bigger things.
Business out there, none of that type of shit. I'm not that type of here to talk down. Don't care. Know what I do. You heard? And they know what I've done. And they could dance around it all they like that joking, but they know upset is gonna be a real problem. And I can tell you about times that I did get upset. And I can tell you about times that they don't want me to talk about. You heard? The both of them. You dig? Like, this game, they can't play with me too much. I give them the floor to do that because that serves me no purpose. I got too much shit to do. I'm trying to get to a real bag, a real different type of bag, and I'm trying to help out more than I took.
And here's Jim's response to being completely exposed. Threats. When you have no legitimate ammunition, when your lies have been dismantled, when your credibility is destroyed, the only move left is intimidation. Jim's basically saying he's going to expose Mase and Cam'ron's secrets, but notice what he's not saying? He's not denying anything they've accused him of.
Mase need to go on a diet. He need to get his life together. He need to go to the doctor and get a physical. He looked terrible, bad body, back, nigga look big around the neck, waist look crazy. I'm body shaming this. You heard? He need to go get on the treadmill, do some push-ups, do something. You heard? Especially for playing with me.
And when threats don't work, body shaming. Jim's literally telling Mase he needs to go on a diet. This is what happens when a grown man has no real ammunition left in his arsenal. He resorts to playground insults like he's in middle school. The fact that Jim thinks attacking Mase's appearance is going to help his case shows just how far he's fallen. This isn't gangster behavior. This isn't street politics. This is petty desperation from someone who knows he's lost.
There's a point of anything. I think when people put negative energy in the light, people just run with it. You know, the media, social media is not about anything positive. You know what I mean? It's about going viral, catching people's attention and things like that. You dig? So I try not to feed into that because I know there's a big reality. There's a big difference between the two. You know what I mean? But even though I gotta live in the two for business-wise and things like that, but for the most part, I try to stay away from all the social media and digital antics.
The irony is suffocating. Jim claims he doesn't take Cam'ron's responses seriously because they're just trying to go viral. But who's been doing interviews with XXL, Cam Capone, and every platform that will have him? Jim Jones. The man accusing others of chasing clout is literally on a press tour trying to stay relevant.
You know what I'm saying? Mase and all that going on yet, or are they still coming up?
I'm not gonna sit here and do a discography, my bro. It's a little bit too much for me. And you ain't paid enough for that. So if you got some other questions you wanna ask, or you could erase all this, send you your money back. Either or.
Okay, I mean,
I understand what's going on and the plight of everything that's going on, and people want to know the history, but this ain't the way that you're not going to be able to get the whole Jim Jones or Jomo story for that, what you did. I thought this was some regular questions. Seemed like you trying to get everything up to every point, and that's not going to happen right now. So if you want to ask some questions, I'm cool with that, but you definitely can't ask me all these questions you're asking, my brother. So if you got some ask, you better ask and get it off your chest, but I ain't going through this with you because you don't have enough money for that. No disrespect.
And here's the most telling moment of all. When the interviewer tries to dig deeper into the beef with Mase and Cam'ron, Jim clams up. The man who's been talking tough and making threats suddenly has nothing to say when pressed for details. This is what happens when someone's entire narrative is built on lies. The moment you start asking specific questions, the whole story falls apart. Jim can make bold claims and threats when he controls the conversation, but when someone else starts digging, he has nothing. And what you're about to witness is the complete psychological collapse of someone who's been living a lie for so long that reality has become his enemy.
Not to be in worse situations than they was before they met you. You get, do you understand that? I don't know if you understand that. That's why I'm around, but then you send them on dummy missions and trick them out their freedom. Max is doing 75. I know you up. Jaja just wanted to be a rapper. Jaja got 10 years, my nigga. We don't know where Jeter at. Stro is just missing. I don't know what the in the Stro. Slicey, 12 years. His godson, that was 13 years old, 8 years. Shotty, he was trying to be 12 years. And I know you love Mel, because I love Mel Matrix. That's my brother. I love him. That's your man more than my man, and that's a fact. I'm not denying it. But you said when he come home, he gonna be the triple OG. Get that man a job, man. Get him a job. He was the triple OG before he went in. Make sure he getting a job getting six digits a year. That's what it's really about. As much as that side, I don't know if me or not, I ain't talking about this situation. You know what's gangster? Emery is gangster. Emery that had a Puma, creative well doing. It ain't even like jail back on his plate no time soon, and they ain't never going back. You know what's gangster? Biggs is gangster. Biggs come home for jail, still got a stake in Rockefeller, whatever him and Jay-Z worked out, that's cool. Or whatever, he got St. John as artist, he working with Drink Champs. That's gangster. Not throwing back in the pot to eventually do something that could get them back in the same situation. And I'm not saying, if you got something lined up for Matrix, I'm shut the my bad, I apologize, but I don't want that for Melly, because I get about Melly. Whether he care about me like he used to or not, I still my love for Melly. So hopefully that'll go right. But this is gonna be the last time I address this. I did this 10 years ago. A lot of people seem like this is new business. When Jim wanted to go to Rock Nation, he sat there and was crying on Funk Master Flex, saying I did this, did that. We did this whole thing 10 years ago, bro. I'm not doing this every 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Whatever you got to say after this, good luck. I wish you luck. I got other shit. A lot of people don't even realize the Dipset movement was from 2001 to 2006, 7. It's 2025. What are we talking about here? If it's people interested in the stories, I dig it. I understand that. Me, from 2007 to 2025, I got to do. This is not on my plate, so I wish you all the best.
Listen to Cam'ron deliver the final verdict. This isn't just about their personal beef anymore. This is about Jim's pattern of dragging down everyone around him. According to Cam, artists who get involved with Jim end up in a worse position than when they started. That's not leadership, that's parasitic behavior. But here's the most damaging part. Cam reveals that Jim has been on this negative press journey against him and Mase for over a decade. This isn't new beef. This is obsessive behavior from someone who can't let go of the past, because the past is the only time he felt relevant.
You know, what was your reaction when Cam'ron brought up all these old stories and everything about you?
I laughed, man. I got this thing, man. People laugh at the lies, but the truth always hurt. You know, lies are more entertaining. You heard? You get to laugh, you get the joke, but the truth is a serious thing, no matter how you look at it. The truth is what the truth is.
Yeah, you know, the internet gets kind of crazy with the lies. The lies are going crazy on the internet.
I mean, well, the lies start from a narrative, and the narrative starts from a person, and you just got to look at it like that. But I've never been one in my life to care about clearing up no rumors. Like, that shit just take time out my day from making money. I know who I am. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I stand 10 toes down on everything I believe in. I don't change my pivot, and everybody knows that.
The irony is suffocating. Jim claims he doesn't care about rumors because it takes time and he wants to invest in making money. But who's been doing interviews with XXL, Cam Capone, and every platform that will have him? Jim Jones. The man claiming he's focused on money is literally on a press tour trying to stay relevant through old beef. This isn't just about 3 men from Harlem arguing over old glory days. This is about authenticity in hip-hop culture. It's about the difference between builders and leeches, between creators and opportunists, between those who earn respect and those who steal credit. Jim Jones's story is a cautionary tale about what happens when you build your entire identity on borrowed credibility. Mase and Cam'ron didn't just win this beef. They exposed a fraud who's been hiding in plain sight for 2 decades. They used Jim's own words, his own admissions, his own contradictions to systematically destroy every lie he's built his career on. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. And until then, fam, keep it real.